what I'm trying to do here is I'm ensuring that I'm on my heels and then going onto my toe. I'm consistently playing the ball in front of my head here, under my head, and I'm also not trying to hit it hard.
A lot talked about the technical side of the game, but what about the mentality, the mental side of the game? Say if you've got a 14 or 15-year-old kid walking up to bat, can that be trained? Before you're actually going out, the fears, the worries, thinking about the fast bowlers they're going to face, the spinners, turning wickets, etc. A word on that side of the game?
Yeah, 100%. I think they can be trained, and we as coaches need to be able to make the mindset of players, we need to bring clarity in their mind. I'll use the word clarity because the first thing in terms of the mindset is me as a coach. If I'm coaching a 14-year-old player, I need to first believe in that player's ability. So forget about the player for a time being. The coach, which is me, has to believe that player. If I believe in the abilities of that young player, I will be able to bring that positivity back into him. So I need to first believe, because if I don't believe, there's no way he's going to be successful. So I need to first believe. Secondly, I need to make that player understand that he or she will fail. May I repeat, will fail. Every batter fails. You look at the best players in the world, they're averaging 55. You look at Virat Kohli, you look at Joe Root, you look at Williamson, you look at Steve Smith, they're averaging between the range of 50 to 60, which basically actually means we get all very excited about it. Look, he's a great player and he's averaging 50. Sachin's a great player, he averaged 50. Brian Lara was a great player because he averaged 50. But when nobody looks into the fact that they've actually failed, that means 50 times. Because if you play 10 matches and you land up scoring 500 runs, that means you haven't scored 100 in every game. So as a coach, we need to ensure that the player understands they will fail. So what can we do? We can only prepare them well. And when I say prepare them well, prepare them in their net sessions, in their practice environments. We create the match scenarios, the match pressure. So when they go out and when they play, they're just literally repeating. I'll give you an example. If this is a wicket, I'm standing on a wicket. So if a ball pitches, and I'll use this quote. If a fast bowler bowls to me, I'm in a cage and I'm batting here, and a fast bowler bowls to me in here, I'm going to actually step to that ball and I'm going to drive. Now, what is the difference? The same ball, when this cage is out and I am worried about the surrounding, about what is going on, pressure of getting out, performance, maybe the same ball, I make a mistake of not getting right to the pitch of the ball and I get out. So what we need to do as coaches is when they play in a cage, when they're practicing, they actually come out to bat thinking that they are in a game scenario. Yes, if there is a weakness, if there is a certain shot which they're trying to practice, they should do that. They should have okay, I'm going to practice my cut shot. So consistently I'm practicing that cut shot. That's different. But when I'm facing bowlers, when I'm facing a side armour, I'm batting, I need to think, actually, I'm in a match zone. So I'm playing a game. So that's a really, really crucial bit in terms of understanding that you are in that environment of match scenario and match practice, always in that practice session. Get that pressure so that when you go out and play a game, it won't matter to you, because this is exactly what I do in a net and I'll just go and replicate that. Then Neel, your next question about facing faster bowlings and preparation. As a coach, I would like, and that is why I'm big on my students or any young cricketer playing in different environments. Go to different countries, get a chance to play, get your mindset, practice in different conditions, practice against bowlers, because that's when it gets tricky. But in terms of me trying to prepare a young 14-year-old to play fast bowling, I do 2-3 things. If I don't have the luxury of having bowlers, I will use a new ball, I will use sidearm, I'll use a new ball, and I will then try to mix it. I would know that a new ball, if it's a 2-day game, there'll be slips, there'll be catches. I will try and hit a lot of balls in that area, missing the off stump, swinging away, and then suddenly mix it up with a short ball with outside the off stump. Then trying to get my student to understand that was the ball which had to be hit for a 4. Suddenly pitching a ball on the leg stump, making him hit that for a 4. So making him practice in that environment where he's facing a lot of balls which is to leave, a lot of balls in the channel, and then one short ball, one loose ball, and whether he can hit that, whether he can actually convert that into a scoring option. That means he's in good zone, because opening the batting is all about sitting in your crease and waiting for the bad ball. It's very difficult to keep hitting the cover drive when the ball starts to swing. So your big scoring options are cut, pull, and the onside. So literally you have to sit and you have to wait. So we create that environment in practice sessions. The other thing is, again, working on the player, that he's easily able to move forward and backwards. Massively important for batting. So from my point of view, we try and keep it simple, make the person believe that he will or she will fail. So they've got to develop that resilience, that it can't be just cricket. He can't go and score 100. It's okay if you scored 100. What's so special about it? So if you get out, that's not anything big about it either. It's just another day in office. So being relaxed, being easy, doing other things in life, very, very important for young kids. Play other sport, read a book, play a music, paint, do whatever you want to, which takes you off from this sort of zone of, I've got to score, Forget about I've got to score. Simple basics. Watch the ball, let your muscle memory take over, practice the way you should be playing in a game. So when you go to a match, you can just literally convert that and replicate that. The batting grip, to me, the fundamental, most important aspect of batting, because that's how we hold a bat. Massive amount of information is out there on internet, on YouTube. So I'm sure a lot of coaches understand what is a correct grip. Today we're going to talk about the mistakes which happen in the grip, and when as a coach you should start looking at it. So from my point of view, you only start looking at the grip of a batsman or a batter when you see that there are certain areas of the ground or certain shots where they're unable to play and the grip is becoming a hindrance. So the way the grip becomes a hindrance is when, this is how everyone has been taught, from the MCC manual to everyone, to have a V on the grip. Basically what it does is, if you have 2 Vs, you are able to simply move the bat both ways without any hassle. Now look, if I stand here and if I am actually trying to play a back foot defense and I try and raise my hand right up top, I'm having no issues because my grip is right. However, if I suddenly from there change it and hold it a bit like that, now with that position here, where I'm holding it with my bottom hand like that, I'm going to talk about the bottom hand first and then the top hand. Now when I try and lift the bat, look, I can't actually physically get this down. It's so tough, I'm feeling pain here. So it's not correct. Similarly, on the top hand, if I turn the top hand like that, then when I play a shot, it's going to go up like that. So again, that has gone too far, that round that way. So 2 simple things for coaches to look, and how can a coach change that grip? We all observe, we are giving certain tips in which you can sort out both the grips. So let's start with the bottom hands. If you see young students holding the bat like that and you need to get them into that V, all you have to do is tell them to turn the face of the bat, position the hand here and turn the face and say, this handle needs to touch the middle of the forearm. So this is my forearm. So if this handle, look, I can easily touch that. Now all you do is just tell them to turn it round. And that's the correct grip. Now watch the magic. If I turn it this way, look, I can't place this anymore. So for coaches, tell the kids to position the handle of the bat, bottom hand, in the middle of the forearm here. And then when they turn it, it's the correct grip on the bottom hand. Now let's talk about the top hand. And I'm wearing a watch for a reason. So at the top hand, please follow the dial. This is the dial of the watch. When I'm standing, if from my eye, at the moment I can't see the dial is facing that way. So firstly, I need to turn so that I can see a little bit of the dial. Now, for the right pickup, which we will come in the next step, the best way to hold that left hand is this. And now watch, I did that. So literally, first from there, when the dial was hiding, I got that and I could see the dial. Now, I'll just cock the wrist like that and now I can see the whole dial here. That's my left hand. So those are two very important aspects which coaches can teach. Also, please look that now I've got a bit of space between my two hands. So between my left hand and right hand, there's a little bit of a space here. Every top batter bats with that little space because that gives a lot of room and flexibility to play shots. You know, the cut, the pull. If you look at Rohit Sharma, if you look at Joe Root, Joss Butler, you look at all the guys, Williamson, Kohli, they all have a little gap in the hand. However, what we have to be conscious about, coaches, suddenly that doesn't happen because then that doesn't work. It's becoming almost like a hockey stick. So a slight breathing space between the two hands essential. So those are little things which again coaches can work. Ideally, you want that breathing space and two V's on your hand, which then is your perfect grip. So we're going to look at now a major aspect of batting, which is the pickup. How do we pick up the bat and what are the common mistakes which we see day in, day out as coaches? So one big thing, this is a real myth here, and it's about where should the bat be, because if a lot of players keep the bat and hands very tucked to the body. Now if you look at this from this position, two things start happening. One, the left hand goes down like this. If you see, it's going down. And I then go here and I'm thinking actually I'm in a good position because I'm lifting the bat very straight. But what would happen is from that position that the bat starts to turn, and then when I go further I'm going to go like that. So if that bat goes from middle stump and starts to push an edge towards leg stump, two things will happen. One, when I'm trying to play the ball on the offside, I'll always try and play inside out. So that means when the ball swings, I'm in trouble because I'm only playing inside out. I'm not able to get behind the line of the ball and play straighter. The next problem, what happens is, how do I access the leg side? Because from this position, if I have to play a ball on the leg side, clearly you can see I have to play around my pads. Now when I'm playing around my pads, look at the face of the bat, the ball travels in a straight line and I'm in no position that I'm going to connect that. So really important for coaches to understand and rectify this mistake. So let's get a little bit out of that mid zone and start thinking about a pickup which is nice and relaxed. So first thing, this is the left hand going down. The left hand, when the left hand goes down, the bat path turns. So literally I'm going to go there. So when I open and I can see the bass, then my bat face is slightly open. So if you watch me now, so from this position, I want my lift to happen with the left hand and I'm coming into that. So my bat is slightly here. There's a bit of space in between my hands. I'm not saying go there, but just there, space. So now, when I meet that ball, I'm going to meet it a lot more straighter and I have access on both sides of the wicket. Critical with the back lift, common mistakes are when Kids cock the wrist. So they do that. So take their right hand off. Tell them, forget about right hand. And encourage them to lift like that with the left hand. So if you see, I'm pushing this left hand here. So I'm pushing. Now, that's where my right hand comes. So my right hand is near my right hip. So the lift is not this. The lift is that. So nice extension, and then you can hit. Again, simple things makes a huge difference. So we're looking at the batting grid. Batting grid is something which we use extensively. Now, why did we use this and what are the benefits of it? Massive problem for all coaches coaching at grassroots levels, and even when you look at some professionals and senior players, is this basic understanding as to where the ball has to be met. And we keep talking up to young players, get your head over the ball. Let's get that head over the ball. But what we see is three things. One, either kids play the ball here, in between the legs. Their head is like that, they play late. Or they play too early, or they play too late. They actually don't know where to meet the ball, which then becomes a massive issue when they have to play on the onside, because if your head doesn't come here when you're trying to play the onside, you would never be able to access that side. So we needed to find something, and this is the tool which we have created at the IOS, which is now the Royals Institute of Sport, by Zubin Bharucha, and this was something which we use extensively. Now what does it do? It does simply, it works on your batting against spin because you're learning how to defend. We use slim bats, even slimmer than that, and we use these little tinny balls. So we are looking at middling practice, and we are looking at how well they can see the ball up to the bat. So what I've done here is we're going to look at three things. One, we have a grid which is basically designed in such a way that I can get into this front foot position of going onto my heel and actually coming onto my toes. So it's this rocking movement which we want the kids to learn. So that's the movement we want them to learn, because that is the foundation of front foot where the head is going over. Now, at my height, this is a good distance. If somebody is slightly shorter, they can move that and adjust it depending on their height. Why have I placed these two cones? Because feeding is extremely important. I would expect the feeder to feed the ball one bounce, but land it somewhere here, so I can come in and meet that ball in front of me here. Now, why do we need to meet that ball here? The reason we need to meet the ball here is if you're playing spin and our bat is hiding, it could land up going bat pad. I could be out, or the ball can come and hit my legs and I'll be out LB. So we straight away teach the kids that when you're defending a spinner, you defend the ball in front of you and under your head. So in one shot, we get them not only to learn where to defend the ball, but also this whole business about where the head should be when they're playing front foot. So I'll play a few shots now, and then I will take it from there. What I'm trying to do here is I'm ensuring that I'm on my heels and then going onto my toe. I'm consistently playing the ball in front of my head here, under my head, and I'm also not trying to hit it hard so that the ball stays here. So I'm learning playing with softer hands. This is also a chance for the coaches to check the grip of the students, because you can't wear a gloves with this. You want them to do it without the gloves. So if there is a problem with the grip, there will be a hindrance. So the bat path, so then straight away you can address that. For me, one of the best tools for teaching young cricketers and batters the front foot defense, as well as how to get the head over the ball. Massive challenge for any coach at any level. We do a lot of stuff in terms of how we can teach kids playing the quicker ball. Yeah. When we go to India, when our camps in Nagpur, in the Royals Institute of Sport, we use wet rubber balls on granite where, you know, feeders are going to feed from sort of like 13, 14 yards. Balls are going past your head and you really improve your back foot game. In England, we use the bowling machine, we use tennis ball machines, and then we work on the cut, pull and leaving. One very important thing to really work with young kids is their movement, speed, leaving balls. And sometimes, you know, we might not be able to get a, you know, bowling machine or a rubber or a granite or feeders. So here's a very simple drill which I'm going to now do, which can be done anywhere. We're going to use tennis balls, and basically, again, as I talk, it's all about match play. It's all about understanding. It's about mixing it. What happens is sometimes when we teach that back foot shot, you know, even if you're teaching young kids to leave balls, bowling machines are being fed and you keep leaving. So the problem then happens is you're not challenged because you expect that every ball is going to be a bouncer. We need to create sessions which are very much in tune of what's going to happen in a game. So in this drill, I'm not going to use a bat. Literally, balls are going to be fed to me from a short distance, tennis balls. I encourage young kids to wear a helmet, literally standing there as a batter. So I get my feeder to come right in front of me here. I'm going to stand as a batter. Then the feeder is going to start feeding balls at me, which he will aim to hit me on the head. Now I've got two options. Either I move away or I duck. Move away, duck. Then suddenly he'll feed one ball, which would be knee height, full toss. That's the one which then I need to just go forward. I don't need to have to play, I just have to go forward, which means I'm practicing how it will happen in a match, because you can suddenly face a bouncer, a fast bowler pushes a deep square leg back. That doesn't mean he's going to bowl a bouncer. He might just literally fox me and bowl a rank half volley. But he's bowled a bouncer, he's bowled another short ball, and suddenly he pitches one, and I'm sitting back, I should be able to come forward. So we've created a match awareness with just tennis balls and simple feeds.
So Sid, let's move on to spin bowling. You're known as a little bit of an expert coach in this field. In England especially, perhaps we don't face the ragging due to the wickets that we actually have in this country. The ball doesn't rag as much as it does in India, for example. So what are the kind of things that you can probably teach youngsters, and drills and approaches, etc.?
Okay, so Neel, this is something which is massively important for any young cricketer who has aspirations to play a decent standard of cricket, because once the spinner comes in, the game starts to change. Even in T20 cricket, the spinners come in and they kind of stop the run flow. So the first thing which happens here in England is we teach young players the attacking options of batting against spin. So i.e. stepping out, sweeping, reverse sweeping. But the most important fundamental aspect of playing spin is depth of crease. So if we can teach the kids that when you're batting against fast bowlers or spinners, the difference is fast bowlers, you can just come and play from here to a length ball and then just go back and play if it's a back foot shot. Spin, every inch matters. So if I play back foot to a spinner from here, without just like that, I'll have nowhere to go. However, if I go right deep into the crease, then I can start to open up both angles. So the big challenge is teaching them the footwork. So what I've done here is I've placed two balls, and I'm just going to tell you how interesting it is if coaches start to think teaching spin in a different way. So from a point of view of that ball, if I'm batting here against spin, I'd possibly come forward and I'll come and defend the ball or drive the ball. However, if I keep doing that, a spinner basically aims to find the length in a match, and he's he or she has possibly found that I've defended. That ball, which is a little bit further away, my two options would be again, I would possibly go and defend that ball, or maybe try and come out and play. What I'm going to now try and show to all of both to you, Neel, is both those balls, if I go that much back, once that ball pitches, it will turn. If it's an off spinner, it will turn this way. If it's a leg spinner, it's going to turn that way. In both angles, if I go deep into the crease, and if I learn to take this leg out, and if the ball is turning into me, I can play here. If I go a little bit this side, turn that, I can play there. I'm now playing the spin. The moment I start doing that, a spinner from bowling from 22 yards starts to think that he is bowling short. But actually the spinner is not bowling short. I've actually converted a defense ball into a run scoring option of taking a single. So then that spinner is going to pitch it up a little bit more and will go somewhere here. And that's when I come in and drive and my game opens up. This is something which we can teach the kids. And how do we do that is very, very simple, and I will show you 3 drills what we do. The most important drill is to teach them that when they go back, they get this leg away. How to get this leg away. How to be a little bit bouncy on the legs. So in the next 3 drills, I'll go one by one, step by step, which coaches who are going to watch this can practice with their students, and they will get 100% desired results. So step 1, movement. We've heard about the press. Now please understand, press doesn't mean taking a front foot stride, because if you press and stride like that, you then have nowhere to move because your body is stuck. So if that ball pitches short, all you do is this. So you're nowhere. So you've got to understand it's about being ready. So look, this is my first drill for youngsters. Be ready. 1, just a little tap. Just a tap. 1. Then 2. Back and across. Weight on the balls of your feet. And then 3. Now, watch this. This is my position. I go 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Literally 1, 2, and 3. Let's first teach these kids this simple movement of getting behind. That this leg can be pushed back. This is step 1. Now we'll go into step 2. Step 2. Coach to feed balls. Full toss, hip high. First job as a coach, get that student to get onto the balls of your feet on that back and across off stump line. Stay here. Stay low. Practice that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all we are teaching is this leg can be moved. This leg can be moved. Step 2. Now we're going to go into step 3. Derek's going to feed balls. Wherever he feeds, I will go back, because I'm trying to prove through you to various coaches and students it can be done, because your game starts to open up. But the first thing I'll do is I don't want to stand like a robot like that. If I'm standing so upright, it's going to be tough. So I need a little bit of spring in my steps. However, I'm not going to go onto my toes. I'm aiming to be on the balls of my feet. Very, very important. So firstly, as soon as I'm ready now, as soon as I do that, my ready position starts when Derek puts his hand up. So when he puts his hand, stop there, mate. That's when I'm actually ready to now take that little, sort of a little ready position. So I'm ready. Aji, go. So I've played that front foot ball on my back foot. So now look, that ball, literally, I moved here. When I was meeting the ball, I felt that if I push this leg further back, I'll get more room, and I was able to do it. So it's all about getting into room and in good position by able to move that front leg out. If we can teach the kids this thing, we are a winner. Please understand, when you teach them, they shouldn't go too far this way, because then they're going away from the ball. They need to practice this all the time. Simple. Nice and rhythmic. Practice that and see the difference it creates on your batting against spin. The first thing which will happen is you'll be able to rotate strike. Once you rotate strike, the big shot will come and your game becomes easy. Rather than dot, 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 pressure building. Let's go. Single, single, bat ball, 4 or 6. Think about it, practice it hard. A big topic I wanted to discuss with you, Neel, through your channel, and is to pass this on, is this chat about batters' head falling. And we at the Royals, we've done an extensive amount of research in this, led by Zubin Bharucha, who's our technical director. And we've looked at it, and what we've analyzed with looking at some of the greatest batters who have played the game is it's actually not the head which falls. It's what happens with your feet, which is the real issue. So I'll give you a short demonstration about the head. So I'm in stance, and look, at this moment of time, my head has fallen big time on that side. So I'm like this, literally with my head there. Now I'm going to move forward and play. Look, I'm playing it nice and easy. So again, my head is there, and I'm playing nice and easy. Again, I push further that way, my head literally going that way. I still move forward, and I'm not losing balance. Now see, when I did that, on all those occasions, please have a look as to what I did with my front toe. So when my head was here, look at my toe. My toe is slightly up. So because my toe is up, I'm actually having no issues with the head so much that way. Bowler comes in and I'm playing. However, now I'm going to change that. I'm keeping my head here, but now my weight is going on my toe, and I'm going to play so straight away I fall over. So the problem is not with the head, the problem is it with my feet. So at stance, if the feet is not, the weight is not on the balls of the feet and goes on the toe, the moment you go on the toe, look, straight away I'm moving out of your screen because I'm losing balance. Watch. I lose balance. However, weight on the balls of my feet, toes up, I'm not losing balance at all. My head is going. Now, that position, I go onto my toe. Look. So, I think time has come where all the experts start to think whether it's actually with the head which falls, or is it that the weight goes on the toes. We've done our research. We are big on this with our students. When the weight goes onto the front toe at your feet, what we see, the head falling, is a result of the weight going on the... So a lot of young kids, pre-delivery movement, and we say, oh, your head's falling. Actually, your head's not falling. That they're doing the pre-delivery movement, instead of keeping the weight on their balls, they're going on their tiptoe, and hence the body weight goes that way. That's something which I wanted to share to all the coaches. Please try it yourself, experiment it, and then you will see how much sense it makes. Great to talk to you, Neel, as always.
Cricket Love Stories with me, Neel Khagram. Today we're joined by Sid Lahiri. Sid, how's things going?
How are you, Neel? It's all good. Lovely to see you.
Thanks for coming on the channel once again. A friend of the show.
Yeah.
So Sid, you're head of Academy Cricket Development at the Rajasthan Royals. You're going to give us some advice on batting mindset and mentality tips for all players. Let's dive straight
Yeah.
into it. Would it be fair to say it all starts at practice?
Yeah, it does. It does. Because sometimes what happens is when we practice with no fear. You see, the challenge of batting is that when you're batting, you uh, you will have to get out. You will get out. You will make a mistake. You can't just remain not out all the time. That the game doesn't evolve like that. So the issue which comes through is that when we play in a net, we think, oh, there's no need to worry. And we just bat without a plan and without a structure. And the most important thing then is that when we go out to play a match, and then then the worry of losing your wicket comes to your mind, then you lose your natural stroke play. You lose your methods. You don't really know how you're going to execute your methods, your process. And then either, you land up, failing, or, you land up in a position which is quite uncomfortable and you don't really know what to do. So you are absolutely right. It's a very, very good question you've asked. I think the mindset starts when you're practicing. And that's where you have to start thinking as a batter that when I'm batting in a net, I need to be in that, mind that I'm playing a match. So if you're facing a fast bowler, visualize what sort of game are you playing? Are you playing a shorter format? Are you playing a longer format? So, and then the practice, then the planning starts. And then when you go out to play in a match, you execute exactly what you've practiced. So we should say that practice, when you practice like a match. When you play in a match, just literally take that game and think you're in a net.
Batting by its nature is a very technical game. How should a player ensure they're not overthinking things in practice?
So technique is very important. The fundamentals of the game, fundamentals of batting, you are again absolutely right. Batting is a challenging form. And it's challenging because when you're bowling, I'm not saying that bowling is not challenging. Batting, it's about decision making. It's about trusting your instincts. And the biggest thing is to pick length. As a batter, if you can pick length, you know when to go forward, when to go back. So it's critical when you're playing and when you're practicing that your fundamental, your technique is solid. So you go through those spaces and you make sure that when you are practicing, you're practicing with a purpose. So technique becomes a very, very important part, but then you don't jumble your head with lots of that. At the end of the day, you've got to understand that when you bat, all that what you develop is your muscle memory. And then that muscle memory develops, and all you need to do is then trust your instincts. So we go out there and we hit, maybe 100, 10,000 pull shots, in practice. They say you have to hit a shot 10,000 times to perfect it. But, at the end of the day, your muscle memory has developed. So then if you've practiced with a purpose, then you're going to go out in a game, you're going to pick the length. Rest comes as a muscle memory. It's an instinct. It's instinct. You don't have the time to think, what do I do? Short ball, this ball, that ball. Where's the fielder? You don't have any time. You see the ball, you pick the length, you execute a shot. So it's developing that muscle memory in a right way so that your length picking and your understanding of the game improves.
Then as game day approaches, how important is it that you don't overanalyze and worry about the opposition too much and almost lose focus of your own game?
I think, Neel, again, really good question from you. I think cricket's a bit like your title, life stories. Cricket's like life. At the end of the day, too much thinking just clouds your brain. When you bat, if you think about performance, if you think about the bowler, if you think how your runs are going to come, the first thing you will ignore is to watch the ball, and then after watching the ball, executing a shot. You'll completely ignore that. And the reason you're going to ignore that is your brain's completely occupied with thoughts which you cannot control. Imagine if you were going out to bat tomorrow and you didn't know, let's talk about the England-India series as well. Today, Rory Burns got out fifth ball. Night before, I don't think so he had any idea that's going to happen. So for him to think about Jasprit Bumrah and all of that, doesn't really add up, because at the end of the day, he's going to go out there. Batter has to go out there and execute. So the most important thing, however simple it looks, is watching the ball. If you watch the ball, your instincts will take over. If you do not watch the ball, you will start thinking of things which you cannot control.
And then players, whether they're an IPL player, test match player, or a young player in an academy, we're all humans. How should a player deal with nerves?
So again, a bit of nerves is not bad, because that brings out the best in you. But I am big in advising to junior players who are coming from our academy in one particular thing. We are becoming increasingly a result-oriented society. And that worries me a lot, because, results are not in your control. I mean, you're running this wonderful channel. You don't know whether it's going to be the biggest success or whether you're going to fail. I think the most important thing is to think about your process. How you're training, how smartly are you training? Now, I'll give you an example. As a batter, imagine you're getting out, playing a drive shot to an outswing bowler, and in the net, you're practicing short balls. That's unsmart. However, you might say, I batted 4 hours in the net, but that 4 hours is a waste. So that's why identifying your weakness, working on it, working on your strengths, having a really good process of what you can control. You can control your training, you can control working on your methods, but you cannot control results. So we need to get out of this, and that will take away the nerves. When you look at an MSD, right? I take the name of MS Dhoni because people think, okay, there's a video, and I want some of the young cricketers who are going to watch this one to watch that video where he's batting against Akshar Patel in an IPL match. And in the last over, 24 runs are required. 22 or 24. And you think, this is impossible, And he's actually hit a six. Actually, first ball, he smashed it to long off. And he's refused a run. And then he hits 4 sixes and finishes the game. Now, that cannot be planning. That he definitely would have nerves. But actually what he's doing is he's focusing his mind on watching that ball and smashing it out of the park. So he's holding his shape. He knows where his strengths are. So that's a really important thing for everyone. That's the way you can start taking away these nerves. A little bit of nerves will be there. But the way to avoid is you have a really good process of learning and not to worry about selections, not to worry about performances.
And then when you actually walk out to the crease, what should your mindset be in terms of intent? So should it be aggressive in terms of calling, quick singles, or occupying the crease would be best? Or is it just a balance of everything?
Again, very, very good question. Depends on what format you are playing. So if you're playing a T20 on a flat deck, you're going out with that mindset, which is positive, and the mindset is to score runs. So yes, you need that body language, you need that movements, you need to be alert, and you need to be ready. If you're playing you know, and I always say this, what is an aggressive mindset? You've got James Anderson bowling at his best, swinging the ball, moving the ball on a green top wicket. You can't be aggressive. Aggressive there is understanding where your off stump is, understanding where your methods are, understanding where you're going to score runs from him, or how will you bat against him. Aggression always, we get kind of misled by this word. Aggression means, oh, I'm going to go there and I'm going to show the world that my strike rate is 170. Aggression is also how you're coming in and actually defending a ball. Aggression is also that, right, I look super confident when I'm defending. I look super confident when I'm leaving a ball. So it depends on what type of formats we are playing. But you're right, but again, it depends. It's an individual to an individual. You look at Virat Kohli, right? And you look at Virat Kohli and you think he's like, right, he's full of energy, full of beans, right? But then you also look at Hashim Amla, and you look at a Rohit Sharma. I mean, when Rohit is batting, you look at him and think, well, is he going to be the guy who's going to hit 7 sixes in a game? So aggression, mindset, you don't have to copy anyone, but when you're on the crease, you need, as you walk in, your first job is to see where the cricket ball is. I would strongly suggest that for younger players.
And then what are the keys to staying mentally fresh through an innings?
Yeah, I mean, listen, one very, very good thing if you're playing, because batting at times can be draining. Batting comes in cycles, and you bat with your partner, and you get out to bat, and you suddenly notice that all the bad balls are being bowled to your partner, and he's just gone in and he's on 30 not out, and you are getting the best balls in the world. So you need to have that patience. You need to have that calm demeanor. You're thinking, I'm sitting here and I'm batting. I don't need to rush. I don't need to rush anything. Because it comes in cycle. Your cycle will also come. And also, it's crucially important that when you are batting, you will get these moments when you will feel you're timing the ball well. You will feel you're not timing the ball well. So it's really important to locate the cricket ball. That's one very good exercise, which really because I tell you what all the time happens. We beat ourselves. We are our biggest enemies. So when a ball is bowled and you've played the ball, it takes another 2 to 3 minutes, or sometimes a little bit more, or sometimes a bit less, for you to face the next ball. Because the bowler's got to go back to the run-up and has to come back. And that's enough for our stupid brain to start worrying about things. So if I've missed a ball and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's just, wow, what's he bowling next? If I've hit a boundary, I've got this sort of energy thinking, right, I'm going to hit the next one as well. So the one way to stop that, and to answer your question, is to locate the cricket ball. So when you're batting, imagine you played the ball and the ball's gone to the keeper. To take your mind away from any thoughts, you don't need any thoughts, positive, negative. You just need to preoccupy your brain so that the brain doesn't allow you to give negative vibes. And then, Neel, what happens when you're 60, 70, a batting game is easy. So what you need to do then is, as a batter, locate the ball. So if the ball goes to the keeper, there are no runs are scored, walk off the crease and just follow the ball. Follow the journey of the ball going to the bowler. So if it's a longer format, keeper will throw the ball to first slip. First slip will throw the ball to second slip. Second slip will throw the ball to third slip. Third slip might throw the ball to backward point. And this is the journey of the ball till it reaches the point when the ball's thrown and the ball's now going straight to the bowler's hand. Now, when the ball's gone to the bowler's hand, you've been standing relaxed and you've been following that. Now you don't have any more time to think about anything because you've got to get into your crease, settle in and wait for that bowler to come in and bowl. So what you're doing is you're stopping. And if somebody can do this exercise well, I'm telling you, honestly, they will even forget anything around their life because the brain needs to be channeled. And once the brain is channeled, it'll function.
Just the key takeaway there, just focusing on the next delivery. If you played and missed,
Absolutely.
just let it go. Focusing on the next ball.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who cares? You could nick off and someone drops you. It's not your fault that someone's dropping you. Listen, never as a batter should you think how well I'm batting. Because when someone scores 100, we don't say, oh, this was an amazing 100. And when the same player scores another 100, we don't say, oh, this is a rubbish 100. It's people who say that. On the stats, in your career stats, it'll say 100. It won't say, yeah, it's 100, but he gave a few chances. They won't say it's 100 and he didn't bat well. No one's going to say that.
And then again, from a mental perspective, how should a player look to construct an innings? I.e., should they choose which bowlers to score off, etc.? Any tips you can give youngsters?
I think the first tips I will give to younger players, if they have any aspirations to sort of play at a higher level, work on your technique, because that's the first fundamental. You can't play at a top level, or no matter any level, with a very conservative technique and faulty technique. So work on it as a younger player. The next piece of advice which I would give to them is the back foot game is now critical for batters. You've got to be very strong of the cut, you've got to be very strong of the pull, you've got to have a very good onside game. The reason I say that is especially when you're playing in England, when the ball swings, when the ball moves, playing a drive shot through cover becomes very difficult. Because yes, you can execute a few, but you nick off as well. So understanding where your off stump is, if you wanted to play a longer version, being strong on the leg side, and being good with the short ball are basic fundamentals which they need to work on if they want to have a sustainable cricketing career on the 4-day, 5-day format. If they're playing one-day cricket and T20 cricket, it's the same. They have to be strong on those shots, but they have to also now learn different shots. They've got to learn the drive along the ground. They've got to also learn the drive going over mid-off, going over long on. They have to learn the sweep, learn the reverse sweep. They've got to learn all these shots because they'll have to execute them. So, it's batting to score, Neel, not batting to save your wicket. When you bat to save your wicket, you're not going to be successful. So you've got to be busy at the crease. You've got to look for a single. So as we spoke at the beginning about, practice. So a decent ball in practice and you defend the ball rolls back to the bowler. That's poor. No one's interested in how good you look. Same ball, you've defended with soft hands and dropped the ball in front of sort of, squarish cover or something, and you've taken a single. That's smart training. So when you're going out there, you're rotating the strike. You're not just stuck and facing the best bowler in the world 6 times. You will nick off, boss.
And then you touched on this earlier in the chat about failure, but I think it's worth diving a bit deeper into the topic. Like in our game, it's almost seen that if a batsman doesn't get 100, it is a failure. What tips would you give youngsters in terms of, dealing with that aspect from a mental point of view?
Well, I think you must fail. You will fail. And the simple equation for that is Let's pick the 4 best test match batters. Smith, Kohli, Root, Williamson. Okay, let's say these are the 4 best players now. What's their average? 50, 50 plus. So that tells you if they played 100 test matches or they played 50 test matches and they're averaging, if they're averaging 50, means they've not scored in every game. Otherwise, their average would have been 150. So you will fail. What is important is, and that's the challenge for coaches. That's the challenge for the players. When it's great, everyone's happy. When it's not great, people are not happy. The fact remains, cricket can't be your life. There are other things in life as well. It's just like a job. I'm coming here, having a discussion with you. At this moment of time, if I start thinking, how many people will listen to this? Who are these people who are going to listen to this? And my next thing is, wow, what happens if suddenly Shane Warne's listening to this? Or Kevin Peterson is listening to this? So straight away, I'm bringing in things which I can't control. And I'm bringing a lot of fear of, am I saying the correct thing? It's not for me to judge. I have a job. You have a conversation with me, and I'm trying to give the best answers, which I think is right. Now, there could be 10 people watching this and say, please don't get this guy anymore. Or there could be another 10 people saying, wow, he was amazing. Now, what I'm trying to advise youngsters is, when they say amazing, it's only because you have executed it. They haven't. And when they're saying you're rubbish, again, you've executed it. They haven't. So in that case, why do I get excited if people say, wow? And why do I get depressed if people say you're rubbish? You play cricket for yourself. You play cricket for your team. As long as you're honest, as long as you love the game, and as long as you're giving your best, that's it. Rest is not in your hand.
And then for any batsman, if you do play for any period of time, you do go through a string of low scores, feeling out of form, feeling you can't even hit it off the square. Again, from a mental perspective, what advice would you give players going through a rough patch in terms of low scores?
Okay, so again, this is a fantastic question you've asked. And I'm telling you why this is I love this question actually, because this is so close to anything else you do in life. Imagine you're a banker and you have got a pot of money which you're investing. If you're a smart banker and you've made a lot of money, you're not going to spend everything. You're going to save it. You're going to spend, but also save. Reason being, you will always tell yourself that there could be a time where I could have a really bad slump. So when that slump happens, I should be protected for that slump. Same in cricket. When you bat well and you go, oh, 30, 40, 50, 60, be greedy, because you do not know when your slump is coming. Now, if you go out there and score 440s, right? 40, 44, 43, 41. I promise you, Neel, and you would have played like a champion, right? No one will remember you. But if you play 300s and you have a bad slump, people will tell you, well, hang on a minute, he's out of form. We know that this kid can score. So first advice, when you get set, bank it. This is your bank account. Score as much as you, don't give it away because you're having a great period. 2, when you're in form slump and you want to work on your technique, first you need to see what's happening. Where are you getting out? What are the mistakes you're making? Has your setup changed? Has your backlift changed? Are you doing anything which is technically at fault? Then you've got to work on it. If not, simple thing again is to go into the nets and focus that every ball's coming and hitting your bat. Because what happens is when we are in form, we see the ball coming out of the bowler's hand. We see the ball travel. Because we are in such good form, we then make the judgment, right? That's going to be short. I'm going to punch it. That's going to be full. I'm going to drive it. When you're in a slump form, that timing sense goes. So the instinct sense goes. So then what you need to do is go back to basics. Watch the ball right to the bat. So that means you're going back to your kindergarten days, right? I'm watching that ball. And the moment you're doing that, watching that ball coming and hitting your bat, you regain your timing and everything falls back.
And then if you watch on TV and an elite player smashes 100, you hear the commentator say he looked in the zone. Is that just another way of saying that he's mentally balanced through that innings?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When they say that, all they mean is he's gone out there and he's got grips of his batting, and now he's in that sort of mental space where you've got to get him out. Most of the time, we get out as batters. When you can get to a point when the bowler has to get you out, that's when you're a champion player.
Sid, it's a fascinating topic. Before we end it, what is your best piece of advice on the subject for a young player perhaps watching this?
Well, firstly, please do not worry about results. Please do not worry about selections. And I'm telling this to the students, young players, also their parents. None of this is in your control. Work on your game. Love the game. Respect the game. And the first thing to understand in this is, it would never be a level playing field if you as a batter turned up and scored 100 every time. So it's but natural that you're going to be out. It's but natural people will get you out. That's fine. That's fair. There's nothing to lose on that. As long as you go back and you understand where you're making the mistake. And if you don't, go and discuss with your coaches. You don't need 1,500 coaches. Just go and discuss with your coaches, work on it. And then when you play your match, when you practice. So I'll give you an example. If you're playing a lofted shot and getting out, go into a net and say to yourself, right, I'm going to bat 30 minutes today, and I'm not going to play a single lofted shot. That's where you're improving. It's the greatest cricketer of all, Sachin, did it. When he was driving and nicking off in Australia, he scored a double 100 where he did not play a single cover drive. Now that's the discipline we need in the mind that, right, I've got it. I'm now going to really make it count.
Sid, perfect. Thank you for your time today, and all the best for the months ahead.
Neel, well done again to you. I've been watching all your interviews. I'm very glad that I started. We both started pretty at the same time, early days, and I see you growing. Well done, mate, and thank you for inviting me. And I hope, people and young players especially enjoy this, and look forward to speaking to you again. And good luck to you, and all the best.
Thank you, Sid. So Neel Khagram, Cricket Life Stories, Sid Lahiri. Thank you. Cricket Life Stories with me, Neel Khagram, and today we're joined by Sid Lahiri. Sid, appreciate your time.
No problem, no.
So you are the Director of Cricket at the Rajasthan Royals UK, based in Surrey.
Yeah.
Can you just talk us a little bit about your role?
Okay, so basically, my academy used to be called the Star Cricket Academy, which was based here from 2004. And in 2019, in Feb, we had a brand partnership with Rajasthan Royals. My association with them goes back quite a while now. When Rajasthan Royals wanted to spread out, they want to have a global presence.
Yeah.
The first thing they wanted to do was to give something back to grassroots cricket, because if you look at the way we kind of run most of our programs, even with our first team, there are lots of young cricketers coming through the Rajasthan Royals team, so we are not very celebrity driven all the time. So they wanted to have this global presence, and that's how it all started with us starting this, and I'm now heading the UK Academy.
So how did that affiliation come about?
So we were going to India as when we were Star Cricket Academy. We were making a lot of trips because a very good friend of mine is a guy called Zubin Bharucha and Romi Bhinder. Zubin is the technical director at Rajasthan Royals, and we started going to the World Cricket Academy those days. So a lot of talented boys from our academy was going there. Zubin was already then working as the technical head of Rajasthan Royals. So the association started to happen. And then the lead owner, Manoj Badale, who's based in England, I started to coach his son. We came to know about each other. Manoj was very positive about the whole Star Cricket Academy and the way we were running the academy, and he always wanted to have a presence here because a lot of our players are English players. If you look at it, Josh Butler, Jaffer Archer, Ben Stokes, Liam Livingstone, Tom Curran now. Liam was there last year, so there is that. He wants to support English cricket, and he was always wanting to have a presence here. And it all then, once they decided that they're going to have this global presence, it was almost a no-brainer, so they wanted to brand partner us.
So is the long-term aim for that to get kind of young English players and then in the future, embed them into like IPL teams going forward? Is that the main reason, or is it other reasons?
Look, for example, at the moment, there are lots. For example, Ollie Pope, who's now playing for England. He was one of our students at Star. Obviously, the Surrey Cricket Academy has a big role in his development. I don't put my hand up and say everything is us, but we've had a huge pipeline of young kids with whom we are working who are now made professional contracts. Yes, the idea is that we're going to be able to spot talent early. The idea is that we are, because we're even in India now, if you look at this year, in the auction, we've got players who are just in the under-19 India team, loads of youngsters. So then if there is a talent, if there's a talent pool, which I'm pretty sure, and I'm confident there is, the English homegrown cricketers, if they come to our academies, if we see that they're talented, definitely we can put them across onto trials. And rest is, whether they do well and how it all pans. But yeah, there is definitely a pathway. And also, we're providing unbelievably good quality coaching throughout the year. So, even if they're not playing for Rajasthan Royals, we are hoping that, we are increasing participation. So we are increasing, there are more young kids coming through the system. So those guys could be playing for a county in which indirectly then would help English cricket. So, if I look at our alumni, Ryan Patel, Amar Verdi, Dan Douthwaite, Alex Milton, Phil Salt as well. These guys have all, been to India, to our camps in Nagpur, which now is also a Rajasthan Royals enterprise. And they've hugely benefited from that. And they've been going when they were 12, 13-year-olds. And they've been going not just once, like 4 times, 5 times, 6 times within that period. So then when you see that they've made it, I'm not saying that is the only reason they've made it, but surely they have practiced at a much more challenging environment, which maybe some other kids haven't. So yeah, I think it's a win-win.
And let's talk about your background. In India, I know you played cricket.
At what level did you play? You're an opening batsman, I believe.
Yeah. So, the reason we're even sitting here is there's a bit. Mine is an unbelievable story. Sometimes I just feel I look back and think, how it's all panned, because I was playing cricket in Bengal, which is one of the cities. I played the junior levels and I was playing Premier League cricket. I was doing really well, but it's extremely competitive in India. And when I was 29 years old, I got an opportunity to come and do some coaching badges here, which I took because I was thinking that I needed a second line with cricket. Till that point, I was never interested in coaching. And I landed up in Middlesex, and there was a guy called Phil Nappert who was heading the Middlesex coach education. And it was a level 1 and level 2 course. And he said to me that, Sid, you should go and do the level 3. And that's the point when I'd come for like a 4-day course. And I met a guy in the course who asked me to come and play in this club. So this is the Stoke Davenant Cricket Club. And I still remember walking out here and a guy called Chris Gudgeon, who was the chairman of Stoke Davenant Cricket Club, and Andrew Patrick, who's now the chairman of Stoke Davenant Cricket Club. They just came and shook hands with me and said, look, we don't pay players. It's a small club. It's like a small village club. We're in Fuller's League. We'd like the club to move on. You're here. Would you like to come and play and help with some coaching? And that's how it started. So literally from playing cricket in India, coming over, taking a flight, not really even having a plan that I'll settle. So then Middlesex recommended me for the level 3. So then that was 8 months later.
Yeah.
So I did that. So I got an extension. I did that. And I was just coming in here. And as you see, other than the camera, but just on that side is the ground. And there are a couple of nets. And I used to coach some kids. My first student was a boy called William Patrick, son of Andrew Patrick, who was one of the chairmen. And from one student, the journey has started. So we had very close affiliation with a private school down the road called Parkside School. So the headmaster of Parkside School, the then headmaster, David Mark Aylward, he was the vice president of this club. So then the club introduced me to the school. I went to the school and the journey started from there.
And you talk about the first student you got in, probably the most famous, I would say, Ollie Pope. Would you agree?
Well, at the moment, yes. Obviously, and I'm, listen, Ollie came when he was 8 years old.
Yeah, talk us through that kind of journey with him.
Yeah, so by that time, we were at Parkside, and David, the headmaster, David Aylward, he had seen that promise. And he said to me that, okay, you can do this as an academy. And that's when all these kids started to come in one lot. So we had Dan Douthwaite, who's now plays for Glamorgan, as an 8-year-old, a Parkside student. Ollie Pope, who was then 8 years old. Ryan Patel, 8 years old, plays for Surrey. Amar Verdi, 9 years old, plays for Surrey. So these kids, Alex Milton, 8 years old. So all these kids, just a word of mouth. So one guy came, he then spoke about me. So I think the first person to come in was Ryan's dad, Sam. Then Sam then goes and speaks to Richard and Sue Pope. And then, they speak to another person speaks to another person. And these kids started to come in to Parkside School on a daily, weekly basis to have coaching with me. And it just
what stood those players out amongst the rest at a young age?
Well, look, I've said this in my other interviews as well. I look at those guys and some, look, there is an X factor here. And there were kids who were possibly even better than these kids at that point of time. So to judge someone at a very early age is tough because parents and coaches and people get excited if they see talent at 10 and 11. But until it's just 16, 17, you don't really know whether you're going to make it. The one striking thing about all these names I've taken, one, they were all very level-headed kids. So emotionally, I think they were quite balanced, brave, ready to sort of, put that cap that we're ready to learn. So pretty flexible in that way. And they were not fazed by disappointments, because when you're that child of 10 and 11, if things go well, you're well excited, but if things don't go well, there's that fall that I'm not
So
happy.
they're basically treating success and failure the
Yeah,
same
very
way.
well, very well. And technique-wise, cricket-wise, I think they were all keen to hit the ball. They wanted to score runs. They were good fielders. So there was that sort of edge that, look, I look at someone like Amar Verdi. I mean, he could turn the ball even when he was 9 years old. I look at Ollie Pope. He wouldn't be shy to hit a cricket ball. But if you look at Ollie, till 13 and 14, he wasn't getting a lot of chances as a batter. He was a keeper. He still is a keeper. He's a wonderful keeper. So the player development pathway changes. So yeah, it all started at that sort of time. We were then able to feed these guys to Surrey County Cricket Club. And Gareth Townsend, who is the Surrey Academy director, I've got a great rapport with him. And I've got huge respect for Alex Stewart. I'm a personal friend with him. But those guys, it was almost like a funnel that we were sending these guys. I was doing it. There's a guy, Alex's brother Neel was doing it, because Neel runs a similar kind of setup. So we were trying to put in these players to Surrey with one goal, that we get more Surrey badges out from those things. And the Surrey Academy program is also extremely solid. Gareth does a great job. So it's been a teamwork with people like Popey, Welshie at Cranley, when Ollie, because Ollie, I lost a little bit of contact with Ollie when he was 15, because he was at a boarding school. And it happens when the kids go to boarding school, they have a very different life. But till 15, I did huge amount of work with him. And I think that's a bit of a foundation, which he says in his interviews as well, that those foundations were important. But then again, Welshie did a lot of work with him at Cranley. So yeah, that's how all this journey, it was quite fascinating. And they've all been to India. So they were going there in India and they were facing adults. Phil Salt, who now plays for Sussex. I mean, guys like him were like, they would cry in India because it was so tough. But that has been a, huge thing. I mean, Keith Medlicott, who, as you know, we're now in Reed School. Our home is Reed School. And Med has done a lot of work with Salt because he was a Reed student. But when he went to India, he did the same. So we've tried to create that environment of high octane pressure, high octane training for the elite players.
So the academy as it is at the moment, does it have any affiliation with specific counties, or is it just, as you say, you're bringing in the elite players at age group level and then feeding them into various counties? What's the setup?
I'll tell you how it works. So first of all, we don't want to call ourselves elite, because we've got the elite player platform and we have cricket for all. But I always say that we are role models to the next generation. So, we make a difference to the way they think. We want to make a difference to the way these kids think. We try to build confidence. And when you look at how affiliation, we don't have any direct affiliation with any county. But we've got fabulous relationship with these guys, because we are never in competition with the county. If I say that I'm in competition with Surrey, it's going to be a massive mistake. I, on the other hand, say that the counties like Surrey and Hampshire and Middlesex, and these kids come to us, because we are based at Surrey, I'll have to put my Surrey hat here a lot more. If Gareth and Alec don't want us, I think they see synergy, because they know that it's good coaching. So they also have limitations as to how much time they can give to individuals, because they've got to cater to a much larger program. So it helps. So we don't have an affiliation, but we've got a great relationship with all these guys.
So if anyone wants to actually join the academy, can anyone join?
Anyone. I mean, now obviously our marketing's a lot stronger, but it's a lot of word of mouth, and yeah, anyone can join. Yes, of course. Yeah.
And then your affiliation with the actual Rajasthan Royals first team.
Yeah.
You know, certain press articles I've seen you pictures with, like as you mentioned, Joff Archer, Joss Butler, Ben Stokes.
Yeah.
What was your role been over the years with the first team?
Our CEO, Jake, I mean, he's been a very forward-thinking guy. So when this brand partnership was happening, the one thing which I have been very, very blessed with is that they give me a lot of time with the first team, which I think is great for us, because, especially for me, because I see these, spend time with Ben Stokes and Archers and Butlers and all these, and the Indian guys as well, and you see their training, you hear the coaches, you're listening to the Zubin Bharuchas and all these guys, and you listen, and personally, what it does is, I can then bring that back, and I can see where the game is changing as well, because it's not just the Rajasthan Royals. When we are playing, when we're playing CSK, when we're playing other teams, you're listening, you're in that environment to see how the game is evolving, which then I can bring it back to my coaches. The coaches can bring it back to it's like a spiraling effect. And
do you have one-on-one time with the players? Say like Stephen Smith.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky last year. I mean, this year I think I've been in the entire process of, say, it started with the trials, so I was there, so I could see that, what are they looking for. So then when you look into that and you think, well, it's not just Rajasthan Royals. What is a professional unit? Where's the game going? What is the player requirement? So how I was taught was good, because I respect my coaches, but the game has moved on, so we need to move on. And that move on can only happen if you have first-hand experience. So that's a big USP which we will have as Rajasthan Royals Academy here, because we'll always be able to part that knowledge in. So I was in the trial process. And when I went last year, I spent a lot of time to see how they train. You see Smithy train, saw Rahane train, and you see these guys and you think, they're also human beings, and they're normal people, but they have that mode when they switch on, switch off, and all of those things. What are they working in their training sessions? What are the specific areas they want to work on the training sessions? I think it just unbelievable knowledge you can get as a coach. So for my aspirations, and I think as now I'm heading the whole UK, but I also do a lot of stuff in India. I think it's great.
And as you said, like the game is developing. 2020 cricket, 5-day cricket. How is yourself as a coach have to adapt to that process?
Hugely, man. I mean, look, it's a massive challenge, because we have to understand that the 5-day game is going to be there. It has got its challenges, but it's there. We look at senior guys, and we look at the players when they become pros, and there's a talk about having a test match team, having a one-day team, and having a T20 team. 3 different teams. At the grassroots levels, I think that needs to be introduced, because at the moment the counties find it a bit challenging, because see what happens, a young kid comes into bat, technically sound, but may consume a lot of balls. And if they consume a lot of balls and their strike rate doesn't improve, then they're possibly moved out of the system. But I think the grassroots level, what needs to happen is we need to player identify really early, where we see this kid could go on and play the longer duration game. This kid could play more on towards the shorter formats, and changes can happen as they grow. But the challenge for us is we can't now go out and say, right, this is your first 20 minutes, this is what you do. So we have to, so the one line which has changed now from our point of view at our academy is, we don't want people to just use the word positive, because it's a very wide spectrum word. What we would say is, as a batter, consistently look to score. So there's a thin line there. Don't go and just. So it doesn't mean they go and slog. Got to respect the good ball, but there's got to be that intent of scoring because the game is changing. So those are the sort of changes which we have to adapt as coaches. We can't have fixed ideas. We can't just think, well, that happened 10 years back, should happen now.
Do you think gone are the days of a player can play across all formats?
No, I think still people can play all formats if your basic game and your technique, your foundation is solid. They'll play all formats. I mean, if you look at it, Virat Kohli plays all formats. Solid foundation. Kane Williamson, Joe Root, Steve Smith. If you look at these guys, Butler, they're all playing all formats. Your game, your fundamentals have to be strong. I think Ollie Pope will play all formats. If your fundamentals are not strong, then you're going to struggle. If you're just a branded T20 player, for you to move out and play test match cricket will be difficult. If you're a branded test match player, for you to come down and play T20 cricket could be difficult. So I think it's very much dependent on us coaches as to how we at the grassroots level teach and develop the game. Big massive role. It goes a bit unnoticed because we're always talking about the top, but the top only happens if the bottom plinth is strong.
And obviously Rajasthan Royals as a franchise, 2020 franchise, how do you view Test cricket?
Well, look,
or the longer form of the game?
Well, look, I mean, we are always positive about the game in itself, but I think if you look at 2020 cricket, and there's a lot of talk about IPL, the two things about Rajasthan Royals. First of all, I feel very proud that we are one of the franchises, and full credit goes to the management, Manoj and Ranjit. Manoj, who's the lead owner, Manoj Badale, and the entire hierarchy, Zubin, Jake. Now we look at that, we're not celebrity driven, right? A lot of youngsters look at, from the very beginning, Jadeja started with Rajasthan Royals. I mean, the young crop we've got now, we had Riyan Parag last year. He's just come out of under-19 Indian, playing for a state in India, and we create those opportunities. I think what IPL has done, what these tournaments have done, is they've brought in fearless cricket. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, it has to be commercially viable. Even test match cricket, people enjoy. If you send people to watch test match cricket, and we had one in India recently, which was done by Saurav Ganguly, our BCCI president, which was in Eden Gardens, which was a day and night test match, and the crowd was full. But if you look at Lords, it is only entertaining now because test matches are result oriented. I think there's a myth here about T20 and longer version. As I said to you earlier, if your fundamentals are right, you will play all the formats. And also, the T20 experience, IPL, BB, and all the Big Bash and whatever is going on, is only making the players more confident. They're making the game entertaining. And at the end of the day, people are not going to come to watch even test match cricket nowadays if you watch 5 days and it's a tame draw. Those days are gone. I remember as a child, going to Eden Gardens and watching India play England. And I remember that England scored about 400 something. I was on the ground as a ball boy. And we matched it. Azharuddin scored 100. Ravi Shastri is the coach now, scored 100. But the game was a draw. That time there wasn't anything. So there was not much media. People would go and watch. It used to be an event having a test match. But now it's not like that. There's cricket every day on television. So why would you want to go and watch 5-day cricket if the mode of cricket doesn't change? So I'm all for the positivity. We want to go out there and see the bowlers bowl. We want to go out there and see the batters hit some shots and make it entertaining. So I think test matches now become a lot more entertaining than what used to. So I think it'll always have a positive influence.
And specifically now, coaching. What makes a good coach?
Man, listen. So again, I think coaching has different. This is my personal opinion. Coaching at the top is more on man management skills. I think when you're coaching the top cricketers in the world, I don't know whether, because they have a game. It's my personal opinion, it could be wrong. They have a game. It's difficult to change a game which you are when you're a pro. Very difficult. So I think it's more about managing personalities at that level. But at the grassroots levels, from where the next generation of cricketers would come in, the first and foremost thing is knowledge, not what you know, and we say this, not what we know, what my students are understanding. What is the knowledge? Am I able to simplify the process of learning? One. Secondly, a coach has to be positive. So if you come in for a session with me, whether I give you the best cricket lesson or not, you must leave the center feeling positive about it. So that's a massive thing. It's all encouragement, because I'm the role model. I'm trying to have a huge impact on that child's life, or the young guy or young girl's life, because they're coming with an expectation to learn. And there's a line between, again, there's a line between building a rapport, having the balance, having that, there's discipline, there's respect, but then also the boy or the student or the girl wants to come back to you every week. And that happens when they feel positive about the whole thing. So patience, hard work, for someone like me, if you look at me, I'm super blessed where I've reached. I don't think so. I had that expectation that nobody knew me in England. I didn't play 50 test matches. To come to a different country, to establish what I've established, I feel proud. But more than that, I feel I am making a difference to some of these young people. And if they can go back, in our academy, the parents love to come because it's their de-stressing effect. So that's the sort of difference we want to make. We want them to be, happy people.
And how do you rate yourself as a coach?
I try.
You've developed some of the the youngsters coming through the England setup, rub shoulders with
well,
best players in the world.
Well, I would say, if you ask me about myself, I can tell 3 things. I work hard. I want to improve every day, because I don't think so that learning can stop. I really don't think that anybody can put their hand up and say, I'm well learned. So I hope that coaching thought process in cricket changes. And, personally, as I said, I keep trying. I try to improve. I read a lot. I try to understand the psyche of every kid who walks into our academy. When I go to IPL and when I see the professionals, I try and understand what goes through their minds, the pressure, expectations. So I'm improving, and I will keep doing that till I'm in this profession.
And the young players that we should be looking out for in the future?
Oh, plenty, mate.
If you can name a few.
I will name. Well,
I know it's difficult.
It's difficult, but there's loads. We in our academy at the moment, we have a kid called Krish Patel. Outstanding talent, I think. But again, he's got to keep working hard. Batsman. Tom Bates, Luke Webster, Rohan Gupta, Kailan Patel, Aryan Patel, Amit Khan, Cameron Ellis. I don't know, Veer Patel. Mate, listen, at the moment, we've loads of them. Krish Anand, loads of them are going.
You feel they're good enough to go on. You don't want to put pressure on.
Do you know what? No, none of them are. Look, nobody is under any pressure. But there is a serious talent pool here. Serious talent pool. There's a huge amount of county representation, starting from age 10, 9. We've got kids, 12 years old, Tom Bates and Zach Perkins, 10 years old. But there were so many, I can't just name 1 or 2. So the talent is huge. Who will make it? Don't know. That again depends on personality and hard work and persistence, because we are in this unique country where you don't just have to play cricket to become successful. But when we go back to India and you start playing cricket, your dream is to just play cricket. So we are in this country where if you don't want to play cricket at 16, fair enough. There's huge support, parental support system. So they can do anything in that. So it's a love for the game, and that's again our role, that we keep them interested in the game. But I think very soon at the junior level, under 15 and under 19, I'm hoping that we will see some representation. We've got huge representation in the counties. Loads of kids from our academy are playing for Surrey in the county age groups, for Hampshire, at Middlesex, at Yorkshire. So, yeah, you know, as you say, there's a guy called Yash. He's at Yorkshire. So there's loads. So let's see who makes it.
And any like closing words of wisdom that you might have?
See, look.
As you look back, look forward as well.
So, a couple of things. I mean, I'm proud of my team. So let me say this to you. I started this as Star Cricket Academy with a few boys, few young boys, you know, who are working with me now. Tom, my head coach, Tom Tremewan, Matthew Cassans, my very good friend Derek Adjus from the Caribbean islands, a young kid called Marcus Ruffle, Alex Clinton, Ollie Ognall. These are young kids who help us out. We're going for a big recruitment drive. We'll have a few more young guys. What makes me proud is some of these kids were like, you know, like for example, Tom and Matthew were in their early 20s when they started, really early 20s. And they were as disillusioned as I was. They didn't know whether this was the future. I was no one. And I remember having conversations with them, but where do they see their future? Because they were giving a lot of time. I'm proud that they have all got a career now. So I'm very happy that I can contribute that. I also think that if somebody wants to make this a career, you've got to make some sacrifices. And the biggest sacrifice is that our working hours are odd. When people come back home, we go to work. Because on a weekday, we work in the evenings. Because that's when you can coach kids. On the weekends, we don't have a weekend off. I can't remember when was my last time I had a Saturday, Sunday off. Because you have to work on a Saturday and Sunday. But if you make the sacrifices, I personally feel that look at this, mate. I mean, if a boy from India, knowing no one, can create something like this, that an IPL enterprise like Rajasthan Royals, who are massive, wants to come and brand partner us, I always feel anything is possible in life. But it's all, you know, I'm all about hard work, I'm all about dedication, and I'm all about the passion for the game. We can't work for the hour. As I said to you earlier, we as cricket coaches would never make that amount of money. I also think that we need the support. I'm lucky at the moment. You know, I'm at Reed School, I was at Parkside. Previously, you know, I've had the support of, David. Now, Mark Hoskins, the headmaster at Reed's, extremely supportive of the whole thing. Keith Medlicott, my dear friend, you know, ex-England player, he wants Rajasthan Royals Academy to grow. He supports us. He's like our mentor. Because I can't build a facility. I haven't got the money to build a facility. Is £3 million. I can't build it. So we need the support. And if the support comes and more people will do this, we want to create many more academies in England. I'm sure they will all help English cricket. We'll see a lot of homegrown cricketers. You know, it's a great pride. I mean, I was talking to Gareth Townsend, the Surrey Academy director, the other day. And I said to him, same thing, I was talking to Alec Stewie, and I was saying, they must be feeling so proud. You know, you've got Popey, even Sibbo, you know, who's now at Warwickshire, but was a Surrey grad. You know, there's Tom Curran, Sam Curran, you know, it's just, they're all homegrown cricketers. Rory Burns. Suddenly in England, we've got back to that style that English homegrown cricketers play for England. Massive thing, you know. So yeah, I just hope that we keep doing that. I just hope we get many more popes. And also, you know, as I said, we are not elitist. I want loads of people to come out and play, which we do. You know, because that builds confidence. You know, they'll be club cricketers. They might go and do work for the city, but they come out on a Saturday and play sport. You know, at an early age in this generation of, you know, all these games and, things which go on, Xboxes and PlayStations. It's great to come and play sport. So I just want to keep doing it, and I hope we'll see many more kids coming in and participating.
Well, Sid, really appreciate your time today. Fantastic journey to where you got to. Best of luck for the future.
Neel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, mate.
Sid Lahiri, Cricket Life Stories, Neel Khagram. Thank you.